Gender euphoria is
Bliss.
Freedom to
Yeah,
experience
bliss.
masculinity, femininity, and everything in between
Getting to show
without
up
any other
as
thought
your
than
full
my own
self.
pleasure.
gender euphoria is opening the door to your body and being home.
Mm, unabashed
You
bliss.
can feel it. You can feel the relief
Feel safe,
and the sense of
celebrated,
validation and actualization.
or sometimes it means,
Being confident in who
but
you
also to
are,
see yourself reflected
or
back.
maybe not, but being excited to find out.
Hello, and welcome to Gender Euphoria, the podcast, a series produced for HowlRound Theater Commons, a free and open platform for theater makers worldwide. I'm your host, Nicholas Shannon Savard. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. Today, I am here with Kadani Camillo, lead producer of Trans Voices Cabaret in Chicago. And before I talk too much about that, Kadani, I'd like to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Could you tell us a little bit about who you are as an artist?
Hello, folks. I'm Kitani Camila, any and all pronouns. And I'm originally from Puerto Rico, back in Bayamon. And I am a multi-hyphenate theater artist. So I'm mostly known as an actor, a playwright, and producer and director. Most of my art comes from my own culture, Latinidad, and how queerness kind of dabbles with that intersection.
All right. Cool. We're talking about Trans Voices Cabaret today. So could you tell me a little bit about that program and what y'all are up to?
Yeah. So Trans Voices Cabaret is a cabaret style showcase that showcases trans and non binary performers. And each year we do about like two or three shows where a small cast of like three or four singers can join us and they can showcase their talents with us. And with me specifically as a producer, most every single show that I do is themed, just because who doesn't like a good theme?
Of course.
I always try to let my artists, I guess, like interpret my theme however it is that they want to do it, because I feel like what better freedom with your art than for me to give you like, hey, like here's the rules for the game, and do as you please.
What are some of the themes that you've done in past shows?
So the first show that I did, it was last November, and I was still on the producer mentorship program, which is a program that runs for about 6 months or so, where you train under a lead producer, and basically you learn the ropes of what is it exactly that you do as a producer. My first theme was like kind of punk rock, revolutionary. My second show, I was still in that mentorship, and it was a sexy Christmas kind of vibe.
Nice.
I've never been a fan of Christmas, like no shade. It's just it's not my thing. So much joy. I'm just like, no. Do you know how many wrinkles are formed during the holidays? Not with me. Not with me. Um, so I'm like, no, babe. Like, we're gonna make it sexy, and it was inspired actually by my love for this artist called Sabrina Claudio. She's an R&B artist, and she did this album about like 3 years ago called Warm December, and it was her first ever Christmas album. And I was like, "Oh, really, you had to make a Christmas album like every other artist?" But then I heard it, and I was like, hold on, hold on. I was like, you did not. How did you make Christmas sexy? Like, not everyone can do that. But she did. She did, and it was beautiful. It was wonderful. The aesthetic, and just like the music production of that album was just gorgeous. That I was like, I think I wanna use that as an inspiration for my artist, and it was fantastic. And then my most recent one, which was in honor of Pride Month, was actually June 23rd, 24th, I think. It's a Monday. 22nd, close enough. And basically, the title of that show was Still Here, and it was inspired by my love of Bill T. Jones, because he choreographed a dance called Still Here back in the 90s, which tells like the story of like, his experience dealing with friends, with lovers who had AIDS, and just like, their lives during that time. And I took that inspiration and I did a show that actually had also a literary component to it. So so in between each song, each singer got the chance to read a section from a book that I chose, called "The Faggots and Their Friends Between Revolutions."
It's a great title.
No, it's fantastic, and it is a cult book that came out back in like the 1970s, and it was about, it's like short stories and poems and like just about like queer life, and community and revolutions, and the violence that we suffer, but also that we were never taught to lose, so we always get back up and we keep going. And each singer had to read some selection from that book, because I know that the audience for sure is not going to know that book, because it's such a, it's just so modern. um, and and they loved it. They loved it. They felt touched by it. It's also my own way of reclaiming that book, because the book kind of centers gay men as the core of that movement. So this was my way of being like, well, no, that's not true. There's more people in the community than just you. So that was my way to like incorporate each passage being read by a trans person, and how that changes the perspective on some of those passages.
Love that. Did the performers get to choose which passage they read, or was that more curated by you?
No, I picked some for them. I picked them based on the songs that they had, just to create something that kind of went hand in hand with their songs. They didn't know which ones I picked until day off, because I'm also that girl that I'm like, if I could just give you one little surprise, I hope it's this. And so they found out that day what it was. And when they read it before their songs, I can see in their eyes that they're like, this hits really close to home. And I'm like, I know. That's why I picked it. That is why I picked it. But then when they sang, it was just like that. It's that push that they needed. It was that push that they needed to know that, you're making history. Every day that you're alive, and that you try to, push the boundaries of like
Love that.
what we can do.
Love that. So you touched a little bit on community and revolution and all of these things. So I know that Trans Voices Cabaret in Chicago, anyway, is part of larger collective that is Gender Fucked Productions, and it seems those things are in line with what y'all do. So how does the cabaret fit within the broader scope of that organization? What else does Gender Fucked do?
Gender Fucked Productions has a myriad of like projects that cater to like trans people, and it kind of, I guess, like our mission is to support trans folks, and just giving them the chance to create art, and just create equity, and that balance that we don't have in the artistic world, that often we so long for. Like we long to just do like a normal thing, but then we get put into a box that, oh, wait, but you're too niche. Like that'll change the whole part. And I'm like, well, no, actually, this will just be the same. It's just a different perspective. But I digress.
We could go on about that all day. I have thoughts.
We could go on about that all day, and trust me, I could go on about that. But basically, with Interfucked, we have different projects such as meetups, a T4T open mic, Transcribe, a New Works Festival, TVC, Metamorphosis, which is also a new playwright residency, trying to help early career trans playwrights. And yeah, and we just create different programming just to help folks. And there's different producers for like each project. And my focus right now is TVC, just because I was a singer back at the past for these shows, and now I'm just the mother hen. So I just produce this show. So it feels like a correct rite of passage that now I can be mother to my babies. And I feel very happy, actually. I feel very happy and very honored to just like give them the space to sing, because we don't often get that. And if we do, it's tied to something bigger, where it kind of uses our identity as a like, oh, we have a trans person doing this, so you have to come see this. It's brand new. But there are times where we kind of I we just want to be. We just want to be. We just want to do a little songs and then go home. And I really hope that all my artists who I've hired, and future ones as well, know that I do this for them, and my goal is their joy. If they're happy to share their art and their music with an audience, then I'm happy.
You started to touch on it a little bit, but I think this might be a good time to talk about how would you describe the role that TVC is kind of aiming to play in the queer art scene and generally in the musical theater scene in Chicago?
Yeah, so musical theater scene here in Chicago is it's it's big, but it's very specific to a certain kind of people who want to do musicals. It's not that often that I get to see like a cast where there is actually quite a lot of like trans folks doing that show. There's only like maybe like just one person, and the rest they're all just cis and white and straight. Which that to me is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I used to think that like, queers would like take over musical theater, and then here we are being colonized by the straight people. So I'm kind of shocked. But nevertheless,
Great people and the white people, it sounds like.
yes,
Like
yes,
you get either the token trans person, the token person of color,
yes, and
or
and I'm just
all
still
straight white cast.
and I'm kind of shocked because there's so many amazing trans talent here in Chicago that I'm like, damn, I'm like, if you're not being hired to do a musical, I'm for sure not gonna be hired to do a musical. So this is so something's not right here. Something's not right here. And to be honest, it's lack of equity, and but also lack of imagination. We we give other people such grace to imagine other people and being something else. Like, someone can play Irish, someone can play some other job, but God forbid that, like I can play a seductress. And it's like, whoa, I'm like, that changes the whole story. I'm like, no, babe. I'm like, the story is quite the same. It's kind of the same, to be honest. Like, it's the same insult that I feel whenever, way back, I think like last year, I think there was a campaign that on Twitter that people wanted Kiki Palmer to play Rogue on X-Men. I was really happy. I was like, oh my God, if Kiki Palmer gets to play Rogue, because she's perfect. Like she's perfect. But then we had the pushback from people being like, no, she can't play her because like, she's not white. Like she doesn't fit it. And I'm like, okay, but like how does being white change the story of Rogue?
Like, is it really necessary for the character?
Is it necessary? And also, like let's be honest, she came out from Mystique. She came out from someone who shapeshifts. So, babe, I don't think it matters. I don't think it really matters. It doesn't change the story. Actually, otherwise, it makes it more complex and makes it more nuanced. And that you actually have to think now that how does it now inform the story of Rogue that, it's not just like, this Southern Belle who like, kicks ass. So yeah, so that's kind of like the insult that I feel whenever people are like, well, but like, but you're trans, like I gotta see you in a role. And I'm like, okay, what can you see me? Like, please, that's not just like a sex worker.
We
Please.
do so many other things.
It's so many other things. So yeah, so that's the scene, and I guess like in contrast with TVC is that like no, like we don't do like full musicals, but this is a chance to also kind of be a bit more personal because a cabaret is way more personal than a show. In a show, you just have your script, you have your part, and babes, that's it. With a cabaret, now you have to involve your artistry into it and also your own self that this is your song that you're singing, but how do you connect to it? How are you going to interpret it? And what do you want the audience to take away by you doing this song? So it adds a more personal touch that I think you can't do with just a role because in a show, most likely that focus is going to go with how does that make sense with the story, um, with the broader picture.
Now I want to know. Could you tell me about a couple of performances that have really stuck with you where that personal connection like really, really came through that you're still thinking about months later?
Uh yeah, yeah, I have a few actually. I have a few that
I bet.
have stuck with me. The first one that I want to give a huge shout out is Crystal Claros. They are an amazing, amazing performer, and if you're hearing this, I think you're amazing, babe. And um, they they did such an amazing opening song for our last cabaret, but the song that really hit me, that I'm like, this is haunting me, is they sang the subway by Chaperone. And that was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking. And that still haunts me. And yeah, I just think that if like, the level of artistry that they bring to the stage, I'm like, that is what I want that is what I want to see in every musical. That I don't get to see, you know. I think also of John Payne. John Payne a few years ago sang "The Man That Got Away" by Judy Garland. That was okay. That was amazing. That was amazing. Their their technique and their storytelling with their voice is really something so unique and so powerful. That I think about that very often. Yeah, and oh my God. So, Brave Space Alliance, they hired TBC to be an opening act, and I got three singers to go and give a little show. So I hired Ridessa, Marcela Osa, and KT, and all three of them sang amazing songs. But I think their closing song, which was "Linger" by the Cranberries, that was Like that was such a scene stealer. They really rocked it. And also shout out um to KT because I gave him the song Pink and White by Frank Ocean. They sent me a text later after I told them, hey, this is your song that I picked for you. And they were like, no one has ever given me a Frank Ocean song, and you're the first one to ever give me that. And I want to know why. You know, it's not bad. It's just that I like why. And I'm like, you always get the chance to sing to like, you know, sing R&B. But you always sing it from the point of view that it's gonna be a torch song. And I'm like, what if you sing it out of, you know, out of joy? Like, you know, I want to know how that sounds in your voice. Um, and it was gorgeous. And it was gorgeous. So if anyone wants to hear um Katie, their Instagram is KT underscore KAYTEA 94. They're in a they're yeah they're just a great artist, and you know I'm surrounded by like great artists 24/7. But those are the few performances that I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
So the cabaret, it sounds like it's not like necessarily like a specifically musical like theater cabaret. It sounds like you got a blend of different genres going on, which is cool.
Yeah, like originally, I mean, in the you know, with Lorena, um, she always tells me she's like, Givani, you have to do at least one musical song for cabaret. You know that the mission of TVC is to do musicals. And I'm like, Lorena, I get it, girl. I get it. But um unfortunately, most people who come to our shows, uh, they aren't musical people. So we need to also cater to those people who don't know musicals. So this is the perfect balance of like, yes, we're gonna have some musical songs, but we're also gonna have some popular songs that people might know and be like, oh, I was like, so it's not just you know theater, you know, and jazz squares. I'm like, yeah, I know, we could do more. We can do more than theater. I know, right? Shocking.
Jazz squares are only a small little portion of what we do.
It's just a small little portion of what we do. You know, there's more. There's also jazz hands.
Occasionally grapevines.
Occasionally grapevines, but we don't want to get too crazy. We don't want to get too crazy.
Oh. Tell me a little bit about the audience at the cabaret. What is show night like?
It's a mix. It's all like it's always a toss up. There have been performances where it's mostly like straight people coming to like, you know, support the queers. And then there are times where like, you know, it's all the queers, all the, you know, all the elders and the youth coming to like see our shows. Our last show actually was a mix of that. It was a mix of like, you know, queer youth and the elders who came to see the show. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to just entertain them and to witness them also seeing themselves on stage. You know, it's not that often that that we get to see, you know, our community see themselves on stage and be like, oh my God, like, you know, that's a trans person, you know, who's belting the fuck out of like that song, you know, something that I would never expect. I finally got to see. And it's life changing. It's life changing. I still remember one cabaret that I did. That this was like a Halloween one. I always tend, when I do sing, I always tend to sing at least one song in Spanish, just because you know I never know if if like there might be you know a Latina in the audience that I'm like, okay, this one's for you. But when I do, it makes me really happy to know where they are in the audience and for them to get to hear me. It's not that often that I sing in cabarets. I make sure that as a producer, I just produce. I don't sing. You know, this is for them, not for me. But there have been times that you know things happen, and I have to step in. this last show, when one of my babies had to step out because they were hired to do an improv show. They were like, "Hey, I have to leave," and I'm like, "But the group number," and they're like, "I know, but I have to go," and I was like, "It's okay, baby, I'll step in." And at the closing number, you know, I talked with the audience about like, thank you for coming, whatever. One of my children had to step out because they're booked and busy, and I want them to like get their coin. So I'm gonna sing their part, and they're a soprano. So trust me, I'll be fine. And those people have never heard me sing, and like ever, because I'm like, that's not what I do. And when I did sing, they were like, "You were hiding that," and I'm like, I know, I was hiding that. Isn't it like a good surprise? But also to like it was really gay because I was the opening verse to the song "A Purple Summer" from Spring Awakening. So yeah, so that was like much more gayer you cannot get. And that opening intro is just really beautiful. So yeah, um, the audience is really they really feed life to us, and I'm super grateful for whenever they come to see us because people be really busy, and especially they be busy because some no shade they wanna go support other queer art that doesn't center trans people. So when we do, I'm super happy to like have anyone that is like, so you remembered there's more letters in our mafia. Okay, that's good. That's good.
I've got to ask, any other numbers, performances that made you see a song or an entire show in a new and fabulously queer way?
One of my singers in this last show, they sang "I Will Survive," but like they did like a funk version of it, and my life was changed, for the better. It was changed for the better. Reed Desta sang that song, and they rocked the shit out of that song, and I'm so happy because I needed some soul like in that set list, and they brought it, and it sounded really good. And I know that they've been, they were kind of scared that the song was not going to come out great because they've been going through changes with their voice. And I told them, like, babe, like, wherever your voice is that day, that is what you're doing. Like, your body's going through changes that you can't control. So whatever comes out, that's what comes out. But just know that whatever's gonna come out is gonna be good, regardless of what your body does. It's gonna be good. Just trust, and babe, did I trust? Did I trust? That was gorgeous. That was gorgeous. That was such a highlight to see them be comfortable and also not care, what their body does because they know. And I've taught them like just know, babe, that you have power. Like, once you're in that mic, you own this room. So whatever comes out your mouth, babe, it's gonna be gold. So just trust. Just trust.
I know we are running close to time, so I will wrap this up asking you two questions that I ask all guests of Gender Euphoria, the podcast. And the first one is, would you like to give a shout out to a member of your queer trans artistic family tree who has helped you along the way, guided you, showed you a path to becoming the fabulous queer artist you are today?
Okay. So, ooh, there's there's three people that come to mind that I adore, and the first one is Lorena. Lorena, she's the co-artistic director of Thunderfucked. They were my mentor when I was still in the programming, trying to learn how to be a producer. and their support has always been such a breath of fresh air, and their trust, and yeah, their trust in me like really made me so happy because I'm such a hands off person, and I'm like, just tell me what you need done, and I will do it. Um, and they gave me their trust without any questions asked, and I delivered. And I delivered, and I'm very happy that they gave me the chance to like do this now. And the other person is Esteban Andres Cruz. They are currently on Broadway. They are doing Dog Day Afternoon, and they've been my close friend. They've also been a person to also like to like push me, and to also like they've pushed me to like not be afraid of conflict, because conflict means that we care. Conflict means that there is love. If we just let things go by, and we just like don't address it, then we've given up. We've given up, and they've taught me that, and that strength, and I'm really happy that they're in my life. And the third person is one of my close friends and best friends, who's like, he's my brother. Um, it's Nelson Aod Rodriguez. He is also a part of like my crew with Esteban, and he's always been like a sibling to me in the best way possible. He's given me the support, and he's also given me a hand when I needed someone the most. He just knows how to build community with people that he loves. But he's taught me that like there's always good in people. He's very giving, so like as much as he gives to me, then I give to him. So it kind of is a brother that I never had, or that I wish I had. So I'm very grateful for like these three people that have shaped me into who I am, into being such an ambitious person that I am. My God. Sometimes I just wonder. I'm like, darling, like, do you want to like breathe, or like sit, or like just like stare at a wall? And I'm like, no, because there's work to do. Um, so they taught me to be ambitious and to dream big, and but also I'm very much that girl that I'm like, okay, so I've been told that like trans people get can like dream to like be this and that, and I'm like, perfect, I'm gonna get to that, you know and you'll watch. And that's actually what I've been doing. I've I set my eyes on that, and I get it. And I pray for anyone who wants to stop me. I pray. I pray, because it's just, that's none of my
Mm.
plans. So good luck for them. And I just really hope that any trans person who is hearing this, and just wants like someone to push them and to like dream bigger. And if you want something, babe, just get it. Trust me, there are many ways to get something, and we have a lot of obstacles to overcome. Because we have to be twice as good and twice as better as the rest, which shouldn't be too hard. So why not just get it?
I love that. Shouldn't be too hard to be just twice as good.
It shouldn't be too hard to be twice as good. We're fine. We're more than fine. We're
Have you
fine, babe.
seen the challenge in this community?
Have you? I'm like, okay, I see the challenges, but have you seen us? Like, we're fine. We're fine, babe.
And finally, would you leave us with a snapshot of a moment of gender euphoria in performance or everyday life?
I one time went clubbing, and this was back in during grad school, so like 4 years ago. And I went out clubbing during spring break with some friends, and we were up in Buffalo. I go clubbing and I give my ID to like this guy to the bouncer to like go in. And the guy just stares at my ID and he's like, "Do you have any other?" And I'm like, and also me being who I am, I'm like, do I look like I have another? So I go in and I'm like, this fucking dude, I'm like, couldn't give me a fucking break. Anyways, I'm on the dance floor, and that same bouncer goes to find me on the dance floor, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like come off that rude. It's just that I don't know what the hell you are. You look so androgynous that I'm just fascinated. Yeah, you're beautiful. I was just very confused. That moment, even though very annoying, brought me so much joy and euphoria because that's what I've always wanted to be and to feel. I just want to be a walking confusion to someone and pique their curiosity to like, what are the possibilities of what you can be.
To walk through the world, wave of confusion in your wake.
you know, yeah, like I guess my gender euphoria is causing chaos.
That is the secret third gender, chaos.
That is actually.
This has been Gender Euphoria, the podcast, hosted and edited by me, Nicholas Shannon Savard. The voices you heard in the intro poem were Rebecca Kling, Dylan Irwega, Siri Gurudev, Azure D. Osborne Lee, and Joshua Bastian Cole. The show art was designed by Gasham Gulsaven. This podcast is produced as a contribution to the HowlRound Theater Commons. You can find more episodes of this show and other HowlRound shows wherever you find podcasts, including on non-commercial open source apps like Anytime Podcast Player for iPhone and AntennaPod for Android. If you loved this podcast, please share it with your friends, your colleagues, your students. You can find a transcript for this episode along with lots of other progressive and disruptive content on howlround.com. Have an idea for a meaningful podcast, essay, or TV event that the theater community needs to hear? Visit howlround.com and submit your ideas to the Knowledge Commons.